I am live for SAT math today. We are going to be doing 2 or 3 SAT vocab questions and 3 math questions. I'm just checking very quickly to see if I am live, and it looks like I am. Very good. So my name is Kathleen Jasper. I was a biology high school teacher, and now I do a lot of test prep, and I help people pass their certification exams, their SATs, ACTs, and get the scores they want. And today we're focusing on SATs, specifically some vocab questions and also some math questions. I'm going to work in the Desmos calculator to show you how to graph lines, so it'll cut some time down from doing some of the math by hand. And I'm going to show you some tricks with the vocab and the reading and writing section of the SAT. So some of you are taking the SAT in May, possibly June. Maybe you're not ready to take the SAT yet, but you like to watch these videos to sort of get yourself ready. This is a great way to do that. Also, I often tout that you should be doing incremental practice over longer periods of time. And my live sessions are perfect for that because they're 20 to 30 minutes. We do 6 questions and then we get on with our lives. So if you're looking for more help with SAT, I certainly have a longer program, but these live sessions are great for quick prep that you should be doing on a daily basis. Now, I'm going to be reading from my problems here. If you would like the problems that I am doing online, go ahead and click the link in the description. In there, it'll take you to my website where you quickly fill out a form, and then you can download the practice test for today and for all previous sessions. So you can piece together quite a lot of practice test questions over there on the website. And you don't have to do it now. You can just follow along with me. But if later you want to rewatch this or go through the problems on your own, you can certainly do that. I'm going to project everything on the screen. All right. So let's get started with our reading and writing questions. I'm going to go ahead and just make sure my stuff is all filled out here. Okay, let's go ahead and share my screen. So the questions look like this, which is a little different than what they look like on the SAT website. I like to make them sort of wider on the screen so you can see them, but they follow the same structure and format that you will see on your digital SAT. Remember, you will take the SAT online. I'm actually going to be writing on my screen here, but you will take the SAT digitally. And the first portion is the reading and writing portion. And you will do module 1 and module 2. And remember, for the digital SAT, that means you're taking it on the computer. It is adaptive, meaning that as you start to answer questions correctly in module 1, they will feed you more difficult questions in module 2. And you might say, well, I don't want that. Yes, you do, because it means you're going to get a higher score. You're going to get more points for the more complex questions. I do not know the exact calculation that SAT uses to get you to those scores based on the statistics behind the scene, but I just know that you should answer every single question. You should think like a test maker and work backwards. I'm going to show you how to do that today. And you should also make sure that you are, understanding that, grabbing that low-hanging fruit, answering those easy questions right away, not leaving anything blank, and saving some of that time for those harder questions that are going to get you more points towards a better score. All right. So let's start today. We are just doing vocab for the reading and writing. Reading and writing has other things in it. It has vocab, it has reading comp, it has main idea, inference, it has grammar. It also has some rhetoric. Those are some normal topics in a reading and writing exam. But the good news about the reading exam is that you never read more than like 1 to 2 paragraphs. So if you struggle with reading comprehension, the SAT is a really good test for you because everything's kind of short. It used to be different. It used to be really long passages, pages and pages of reading. Now you basically just have to read something about this big and you can figure out the answer. So that's kind of cool instead of all these long passages that many of you are not used to reading. So let's go ahead and start with question number 1. Now, remember, I'm always working backwards when I am on this exam. I'm thinking like a test maker. I always say that. Think like a test maker, not a test taker. You want to make sure that you're looking at this item. And when I say item, I mean this whole thing. We're talking the question stem, the stimulus. There could be a picture there. There could be a graph or something like that. And then, of course, the answer choices. Right away, I see my answer choices here. And I know that I'm in a vocabulary question because I have one-word answers here and I have a blank here. Another thing I want to be on the lookout for are any semicolons or colons. The semicolon and the colon tells me that there's going to be a restatement clue. Now, there is not one in this question. There is one in question 2, and I'll show you what to do when you have that. But I also want to be looking at any signal words here. And the question here says, which choice completes the text with the most logical, precise word? Okay, so this is a vocab question. We've got confirms, maintains, refutes, overlooks. If I'm thinking like a test maker, I can see I have C and D are sort of negative words, not like super negative, but they kind of go against. To refute goes against, and to overlook means not to pay attention to. And confirms means to like be true, and maintains means to either maintain, like fix things up and make sure they stay nice and new, or maintain a belief. You can maintain beliefs. So let's go ahead and read this here. I don't see any semicolons or colons. Marine biologist Dr. Rachel Chen argues that despite gaps in our current understanding of deep ocean ecosystems, she blanks that coordinated international conservation efforts will be essential for protecting vulnerable species in international waters. This perspective guides her advocacy for creating marine protected areas. Okay, so she is saying, or she believes, that coordinated international conservation efforts are essential to protecting vulnerable species, even though, despite gaps in our current understanding. Okay. So I'm going to first right away cross off C and D. She's not refuting anything. She's actually saying we need to do something, and she's not overlooking anything. I mean, right here it says she has advocacy. That is being, someone who is deeply focused on something. So she's not overlooking things, and she's not refuting anything. The two words we need to think about here are confirms and maintains. Now, confirms means you are letting everybody know that it is true, or it's a fact, or it's proven. And maintains means to sort of maintain a belief. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put both of these words in there. They're sort of similar. I'm going to put both of these words in there. So Dr. Rachel Chen argues that despite gaps in our current understanding of deep ocean systems, she confirms that coordinated international conservation efforts will be essential, or she maintains that coordinated international conservation. Also, this is a perspective. We have this word perspective here. Maintains goes better with perspective than confirms does. Confirms is almost like, I did the test, I confirm, it is negative, very black and white. In this case, we have more perspective, more of advocacy. That's why B is the best answer. She's sort of maintaining this belief. All right, let's have a look at question 2. Again, thinking like a test maker, having a look at the item as a whole. So I can see is definitely a vocab question. I have coincidental, rudimentary, painstaking, and temporary. And look at this. I have a semicolon here. Right away, I want to be thinking restatement clue. Whatever comes here is going to restate or support what was said in the beginning. All right, so let's go ahead and read it. Throughout the 1970s, Cherokee linguist Durbin Feeling meticulously, now this is a word I want to pay attention to. That's definitely a vocab word. Meticulously worked to preserve his ancestral language. Okay, so we have the semicolon here. So we have to get a restatement from meticulously working. This blank endeavor resulted in the publication of a comprehensive, another very robust word. If something is meticulous, you pay attention to detail. And if it is comprehensive, you have included everything in it. Comprehensive understanding means you understand everything. So this endeavor resulted in the publication of a comprehensive Cherokee English dictionary that continues to serve as a foundational resource for language revitalization. Okay, this sounds positive. This person worked very hard. Let's have a look at what's going on here. All right, A, coincidental. This coincidental endeavor, what is a coincidence? A coincidence is like, oh, I ran into you in the parking lot. What a coincidence. Meticulously working on something is not a coincidence. That is an effort. I'm going to cross off A. Rudimentary. Rudimentary means like elementary, where it's like basic. And this doesn't sound basic. This says it's very comprehensive. That goes against comprehensive. So I'm going to cross off B. Remember, we want to be looking at all the words here. And again, we've got this restatement. So we're looking for similar words. Painstaking. Painstaking. What does that mean? Well, if you are in a painstaking situation, it's painful. You're working hard. Studying for the SAT is painstaking. Going on my lives every day to look at new questions. I mean, wouldn't you rather be laying by the pool? Wouldn't you rather be out with your friends, right? It is a painstaking situation. Being meticulous and building a comprehensive dictionary. Oh my God, can you imagine writing a dictionary? That's definitely painstaking. C is good. D, temporary. No, it was definitely not a temporary endeavor. That should not be the word that goes there. The word that goes in this blank is that we want it to people to understand how much detail this person used to put into this. So that's why painstaking is better. Also, temporary goes against it continues to serve. Do you see how you can discredit what's going on by other clues in the paragraph? That's what you want to be thinking like. Don't be looking at this in a linear way. Moving in and out, finding clues, understanding the answer choices, being strategic, thinking strategically, thinking like a test maker is going to help you, make this a game. It's going to make you understand the questions better and you'll be able to find patterns here. All right, same thing for the third question for our reading and writing section. I've got my answer choices here and we have the most logical, precise word, vocab. Do I have any? Oh, here's a colon. I can see that we have a colon there, which means we are going to have a restatement clue here. So whatever this says, it's probably going to restate here. Let's have a look. I'm going to start here. I'm going to start right here at a partnership between the Center of Universal Design and Portland Municipal Planning blanks this approach. Residents with diverse mobility needs collaborated with architects to identify barriers and suggest improvements. Okay, this sounds positive. This sounds like we are, giving an example. Let's read the rest. Following the principles of inclusive design and architecture, people with disabilities and design professionals are equal participants in accessibility studies conducted in urban environments. So they're saying people with disabilities and those who are professionals are working together. And then it says this partnership between these people blanks this approach, kind of showcases it, sort of illustrates it. And then it says residents with, it basically restates what's going on here. So illustrates is a good word. Let's discredit A, B, and D. You do not have to discredit on your test, but it's good to discredit it here in practice so you understand why. Contradicts is almost a bad thing. That would say that, this sentence here, this last sentence here contradicts this sentence up here, and it doesn't. We have the semicolon here. It's not a contradiction. It's actually a support. So A is out. B, minimizes, again, sort of negative. We're actually showing that there's a partnership between people with disabilities and those who are architects building accessible buildings for them. So B is out. And D, confounds. Confounds means to confuse and doesn't work here. Illustrates is the best word here. It basically says like a new partnership illustrates this attempt here. And here's what it's all about. So that is the best word there. Okay, so those are our 3 vocab questions. Now what I want to do is get into the math. So at the end of our questions, I always have very detailed answer explanations. I recommend you check out these answer explanations. In fact, in my online course, I have very detailed video explanations along with printed explanations here. I think that understanding why something is incorrect is just as important as understanding why something is correct. Also, eliminating bad answers is just as important as zeroing in on the correct answer. Sometimes elimination is what's going to get you to the correct answer. So try not to think linearly, think about this thing as a whole and really be strategic. All right, let's go to the math, starting with question 1. All right, I can see my answer choices. I'm always looking around. I'm working backwards. It's in a fraction form. I can see here this word probability. So right away, I want to think probability, part over whole. Let's have a look. Each face of a fair 16-sided die is labeled with numbers 1 through 16. So it's one of those crazy dies that have all the different numbers on it. And it says with a different number appearing on each face. So it's 1 through 16 and no numbers repeat. So just 1 through 16. If a die is rolled one time, what is the probability of rolling a number greater than 12? Okay, this is an easy one. All we're thinking about is part over whole. Well, right away, I know what the whole is. How many possible rolls could there be? 16, right? I can either do a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, all the way to 16. Okay. So on the bottom, I'm going to have 16. Now, you might be tempted to eliminate here, but 4 and 8 are factors of 16. Now, if you had an answer choice here that was like 1/3 or 1/5 or something with a denominator that is not a factor of 16 or a multiple of 16, you could eliminate it. But in this case, we are not making it easy on you. A 4 and 8, a 16 and a 16 could all be 16. So we are leaving them. And then we have, if a die is rolled one time, what is the probability of rolling a number greater than 12? So if it's greater than 12, it's not going to equal 12, but it is going to be 13, 14, 15, 16, 4, right? Can't be 12. It's got to be greater than 12. If it said greater than or equal to 12, then you could include 12 in there, but we're not. It is 4 possibilities out of 16. You could roll a 13, you could roll a 14, you could roll a 15, or you could roll a 16. So you have 4 possibilities out of the 16, which is this here. But I don't have that in my answer choices. But you always want to pay attention to reducing fractions when you're talking about probabilities. Sometimes they'll put it in the reduced fraction. Well, what is 4 over 16? That is also 1/4. A is the answer. Okay, so very simple probability problem. We're just doing the part over whole. They gave you a couple of little things here. You know, it's not just one number. We actually have a choice of 4 numbers out of one roll, 13, 14, 15, or 16, and we needed to reduce the fraction. All right, let's have a look at number 2. So we have this radians here. I can see my answer choices are all in degrees. Oh boy, what's going on? Let's have a look. The measure of angle P is 3 pi over 5 radians. The measure of angle Q is pi over 10 radians greater than the measure of angle P. What is the measure of angle Q? All right, so Q equals pi over 10 plus P, right? Because it says it's pi over 10 greater than P. Well, what's P here? P is 3 pi over 5. All right, let's do that then. 3 pi over 5. Okay, well, what are we doing here? We're almost adding fractions, right? So we have these denominators here. We need a common denominator. Do we have one already? Yes, we do. It's 10. So we have pi over 10 stays the same, plus if we change this 5 to a 10, we multiplied that by 2, yes? So we need to multiply the top by 2 as well, which gives us 6 pi. Now we can add this. Pi plus 6 pi is 7 pi over 10. Okay, well, now I'm looking at my answer choices and I'm like, oh my goodness, what do I do here? And whenever we want to find the measure in degrees, we are going to multiply this by 180 over pi. And, you know, we're dealing with pi, so we know it's a circle. We know we're dealing with circles. And 180 degrees is a number that we typically use in geometry. We use 180, we use 90. So I want you to remember this when it's talking about radians. I want you to remember to convert something to degrees. We're going to multiply it by 180 degrees over pi. Now, what can we do right away? We can eliminate the pi. That's good news because I don't have any pi in the answer choices. If I were going to do this the long way, let's just say I multiplied 7 times 180. Now listen, you're going to have your Desmos calculator and we're going to use that in the next question, but I recommend a quick handheld calculator as well. If you're taking the SAT, bring an approved handheld. And if you don't have one, ask SAT or ask College Board when you sign up that you need one. They will give you an approved graphing calculator. I like Desmos Online for my graphing, for my lines and things like that. And you've seen those in my videos. But sometimes I want a quick calculation here, like 7 times 180. I don't have that in my head, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. 7 times 180, and we get 1260. Now, let's say I didn't eliminate. I'm just going to show you why these pi's cancel out just in case You don't understand why I would immediately cross them off. 7 pi times 180 is 1260 pi, right? And then 10 times pi is 10 pi. Well, now we can eliminate them. It doesn't matter. You can do it before, you can do it after, but pi divided by pi is 1, right? So we're done there. So 1260 divided by 10 equals 126 degrees. And is that in my answer choices? Yes, it is. C. So you will probably get something about radians on the test. Just remember this. You're always going to use this to multiply by whatever you got here. And here they're asking about Q. Another thing to be careful about here. They're giving you P. They're asking you about Q. They give you a clue that Q is pi over 10 greater than P. Well, if they give you P and they give you pi over 10, you're basically adding these to find Q, and then you have to convert it into degrees. All right. Let's have a look at the next one. Now, this one, people tend to get, worried about a problem like this, but it's actually super easy. First of all, whenever you see a graph like this, before you read the question or anything, I want you to determine if the line is positive or negative. In this case, the line is going down. This is a negative slope. If the line were going up, it would be a positive slope. Think about it, your bank account. If you started off with $60 in your bank account and it went down to 0 down here after 120 days, that is a negative situation, right? We lost the money in our bank account. But if the bank account started here at 0 and after 120 days went up to, 70, now we're in a positive slope. But this question is showing us a negative slope. That's right away. I want you to think about that. And I want you to start to look at your answer choices and determine which one you can eliminate right away before I even read the question. Right away, A is out because this is positive 2. Let me show you. Y equals mx plus b. M is your slope. And here, 2 is the slope, positive 2. We need a negative something. B is negative. C is not in slope-intercept form. We would have to move some things around, but I can tell right away. Okay, let me just show you. If I'm going to move this, I'm going to add x from both sides to get the y alone. Positive x plus 120, divide by 2, divide by 2. This becomes y equals 1 over 2x plus 60. We still have a positive slope here. C is out. So all I'm doing is thinking about B and D. Now, you can go in and do this by hand and convert all of these into slope-intercept form. B is already in slope-intercept form. Or you could simply use the Desmos calculator. Now, let me show you something here. I'm going to pull this over. Okay. Let me move this here, and I'm going to pull this over here. Okay. So first of all, what you could have done right off the bat, if you didn't even want to eliminate, I would have eliminated A right away because you can see that 2 is negative. So A would be out, but for the rest of them, I could enter them into my Desmos calculator and figure out which line matches this line. Let's just, even if I didn't know anything, I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know how to do this problem. Let's just put the lines in, okay? Let's do the first one, A, y equals 2x plus 60. We need to zoom out there and find that line. Hang on. There it is, right there. It's the black line. Okay. That definitely doesn't match. First of all, it's a positive slope, not a negative. And I did already cross it out to begin with. So that's good. Let's go to the next one. Y equals negative 2x plus 60. All right. We've got a line there. Let's go ahead and zoom in a bit. It is a negative line, but it's a little different here. Where is it crossing the y-axis? Okay, it's crossing the y-axis at 60. Where is it crossing the x-axis at 30? Where does it cross the x-axis here? It crosses at 120. So it's a little bit of a steeper sloped line. It doesn't really match. Let's keep going. Let's add the rest of them. C is, and you can even do this in the wrong form and it'll figure out 2y plus negative x equals 120. Notice it gives you a line, and that one doesn't match either. That one's sort of all over the place here. And then let's do the last one. Should be our answer. X plus 2y equals 120. Ooh, that one looks a little bit good, right? It looks like it matches the slope, the depth of this line. Let's have a look. Crosses the X or the Y axis at 60. And that's what's happening here, right? Crossing it at 60. Where does it cross the X axis? At 120. There it is. And if I just look at it, out of all the lines, which one looks like the right one? Again, and let's go ahead and turn these off. You can turn these off. Look at that. Doesn't that match? Looks like a match. Now you might say, well, you can't always just look at the line. Obviously, there are nuances. You could have two very similar lines. But on this test, if you don't know what's going on, you throw this thing in Desmos and you're looking for a line that looks like this, D is definitely more aligned to the line than the others are. So you want to be, you're not going to have the perfect answer every time. You're not going to know the exact way to do these questions. That's why I say use Desmos, throw it in there, see what happens. If you have slope intercept form, a quadratic equation of a circle, anything like that, throw it into Desmos and see where it graphs. And then look at your line and see how it goes. And when you do that, you can definitely figure out the answer. And in this case, it's D. Let me turn those lines on again. And you could have started right off the bat with Desmos. You could have just added A, B, C, and D into Desmos like this. I would have eliminated A right away because it's a positive slope. So now you only have to decipher between these. Look at the blue line is another positive slope. It's going like this. We don't want that. Okay, C is out. Now we're between B and D. B is too steep. B is out, making C the best answer there. Okay. All right. So those are our 3 questions. I need to get my mouse. Sorry about that. And, just little practice every day, 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes. We've been on about 26 minutes. Do this every day. It's going to help you. If you use the link in the description, there's a link in there that says to download the questions. Click it, add your name to the form, and you'll get the questions. There are previous questions from previous weeks. You can always come on my YouTube channel and check out previous weeks, or you can just follow along and do this every day and get your incremental practice. I'm going to be live Monday through Friday. I haven't picked a time yet. I'm not sure when I'm going to be live. I don't know if it'll be later in the afternoon or in the mornings or whatever, but either way, if you miss it, you can just watch it later. It'll always be on my YouTube channel, KMJ Learning YouTube. Now, let me show you where you can get more free resources. I have, of course, lots of stuff on my website. This is where you can go to get your free prep. So you just click up here under free prep, just put your name and email. And when you do, you'll be taken to that thank you page. You'll be able to download the resources there. They are all there. The other thing I have is I have an SAT online prep course. This is my newest prep. I usually teach teachers how to pass their certification exams, but I started as an SAT prep person. I have been doing SAT and ACT prep for a long, long time. So I decided, you know what? I've already done this for teachers. I'm doing it now for SAT prep. So join me here on this website. Join me on my YouTube channel. You can see here. Let's share this instead. I've got all of these shorts and I go live every day. So definitely check those out. And you can find us on TikTok under KMJ Learning. Definitely follow me there because I am going to be going live there, but I can't go live till I have 1,000 people. I have another TikTok with like 20,000 people, which is for my teacher certification stuff. But I'm trying to start from scratch here for college prep and ACT, SAT, GED. If you need help writing essays, I can do that. I have a doctorate in educational leadership. I'm qualified to teach you. So if you want more information on any of that, let me know. And in the comments below, if you have questions like, how do I write a paper? How do I understand the answer choices? What is slope intercept? I don't understand what's going on here. Put them in the comments and you're giving me ideas to film. So I definitely will do that. Whatever you guys have questions about, I will film for that. So I hope you have a great day. Keep practicing. Maybe take the weekend off and I'll see you back here Monday for another live. Have a great day. Bye.